All right, welcome to the Explainer. When you think of the threat from Iran, what comes to mind? Is it a nuclear weapon? Or is it the regime that would be controlling it? Today, we're going to dig into a really controversial argument from a recent valuetainment discussion that makes you rethink that entire question. So, the analysis we're exploring kicks things off with this pretty shocking statement. And look, it's obviously facetious, right? It's designed to grab your attention and immediately challenge the way we usually think about Iran. It forces you to ask, are we even focused on the right threat? And that quote, it really just tees up the core argument from the source material, which is that maybe, just maybe, the world's focus on the weapon is missing the point completely. So the speakers, they kind of shift the focus here. They move away from just the existence of the weapon and ask a much more fundamental question. Is a nuke just by itself the actual problem, or is everyone's attention fixed on the wrong thing entirely? And this is their main point. It's the big idea. Their whole argument is that a weapon is just a tool. That's it. The thing that really matters, the thing that actually determines the level of danger, is the ideology of the regime holding that tool. So when we're talking about Iran, the source is basically saying the ideology is what we should be worried about. They paint a picture of the leadership as radical Islamists who, and this is their view, might not play by the same rules of self-preservation as other nuclear powers. And that, they argue, is what makes them uniquely dangerous. Now, to really drive this point home, they don't just look at Iran in a vacuum. Nope. They put it side by side with other nuclear states to create a really stark contrast. This table really lays out their whole argument pretty clearly. You can see how they're not grouping countries by, say, geography, but by how stable they think they are and what their intentions are. The speakers make a big deal out of the fact that only 2 nations on this list have leaders who've called for death upon America, North Korea, and Iran. And for them, that's the tell. That shared rhetoric is what really separates them from the pack. Okay, so to really put this ideology-first idea to the test, they throw out a hypothetical. It's a thought experiment. What if you completely change the core values of the regime? Would the world still see a nuclear Iran as the same kind of threat? And you can guess the answer they're pushing for. It's a hard no. The whole point of this exercise is to hammer home their main idea. The real danger isn't the nuclear symbol, it's who's got their finger on the button. The regime defines the danger, not the weapon. So, okay, once they've established the regime as problem number 1, they broaden the scope. They start positioning Iran as the root of all the conflict in the entire Middle East. I mean, you can't get much more direct than this. They're not just saying the Iranian regime is a problem. They're saying it's the problem. The main thing standing in the way of any kind of real peace or stability in that part of the world. And look, they don't just leave it at that. They back it up by accusing the regime of funding proxy wars, bankrolling terrorism, and, this is a huge part of their argument, chasing what they call a worldwide caliphate. So the implication is that their goals aren't just regional, they're global. So this comparison really shows you their pecking order of threats. When the speakers stack Iran up against other players in the region, like Syria or Qatar, their conclusion is pretty blunt. It's, well, not even close. In their book, Iran is in a league of its own as the main engine of conflict. Okay, so this whole idea that the regime is the one single source of all this instability, that becomes the justification for what they talk about next, taking direct action. And to build that case, they shift focus to what's happening inside Iran. They bring up this number, claiming it's the cost in human lives that Iranian citizens have paid trying to get their freedom. The idea is to show there's a real hunger for change from within. And this right here, this is presented as a crucial piece of evidence. They use this alleged celebration to frame the military strike in a very specific way. It wasn't an attack on the Iranian people, they argue, but something that actually helped them in their own fight for freedom. So if you put all the pieces together, you can see how they lay out the justification. It's framed as a deliberate, strategic choice. It's this 4-step line of thinking that starts with the regime is the problem and ends with let's give the Iranian people a chance to win their own freedom. And this quote, yeah, it pretty much sums up what they see as the ultimate goal. From their point of view, the objective wasn't to conquer Iran. It was to crack open a window, an opportunity for a revolution to happen from the inside. Which, of course, leaves us with the big, critical question at the heart of this whole viewpoint. Is it really possible for one military action to deliver both freedom to a country and stability to an entire region? You know, based on the argument we've just walked through, the people making it are betting that the answer is yes.